Do you want to feel powerful, feel like the strongest warrior in the game while smashing enemies off cliffs, spinning to win, and getting stronger the more rage you build? Do you want to not depend on unreliable magic so none of your damage is resisted? Most of all, do you want to feel some genuine joy as you play pinball with your enemies' bodies? Well, the Knockback Whirlwind Slayer build might be for you. I'll go through everything you need to know to get this build up and running right from the beginning all the way till the end game. I'll go through your character and your companion skills, abilities, gear and enchantments, as well as explain how it all works in practice, so buckle up. First, a reminder that I'm celebrating being close to 250k subscribers by giving away a ton of prizes. Follow the link below and keep an eye out in this video for the purple code word. Also, thanks to Nauza for helping with this video.
I'm Commander Shepard, and Dantix is my favorite channel on the Citadel.
You don't get the discount. What?
So first, let's take a look at the skill tree, which will give you an idea of what's important to this build and how it works. This build will have a lot of spare points to spend, so feel free to use them with what appeals to you. Starting in the middle, we want to aim for Whirlwind, so we take an indirect path there. Since there's no direct path, we start the game with Driving Kick, which we'll be using throughout the entire game. It's a Smash control type ability, Smash being the type we want to be buffing throughout the tree. The main draw of this ability is that it applies an incredibly high knockback to anything hit. Even dragon-sized enemies will stagger slightly when hit by it, so we'll be using it to knock enemies off cliffs. It also detonates weakened, so having Neve set the effect will mean we'll always have targets to detonate. So we grab Fury of the Forge, which we only use till we get our hands on the Slayer specialization ability, Heroic Leap. Whirlwind is an area smash type ability that costs 100 rage or 2 rage pips, which is especially high. Most abilities cost 50 rage. This is because it does a lot of damage and stagger in an AoE around you while heavily knocking back targets. While you use abilities, you're invulnerable, and this one lasts quite a while. So with our gear, we'll be turning this rage requirement into a cooldown, so its cost will be completely negated. Throughout this tree, we're focusing on increasing Whirlwind's effectiveness, selecting Smash and Area type nodes around the skill tree. When we reach Whirlwind, we'll not yet be level 20, so expand out, getting greater nodes to aid your build. I like Dazzle because your Whirlwind will now grant you Quickened, which cools down your abilities much faster, since we won't be using Rage to cast said abilities. Concussive Smash permanently reduces a target's defense when they're hit by a Smash ability, and Whirlwind hits multiple times, severely weakening your target. So pick up what you want from what you see here until you get to level 20. Then you'll want to invest in the Slayer specialization. The ultimate, for Gold and Glory, deals high damage in a large AoE and high stagger. Next, you'll unlock Heroic Leap. It's a Smash type ability, so it'll benefit from the Whirlwind Smash nodes we're getting. Like Driving Kick, it detonates the weakened effect, and since Neve can apply it passively, there'll be plenty of opportunity to combo. The ability leaps you forward and deals high damage and stagger while knocking back enemies. You can see the theme coming together here. Lots of knockback, lots of stagger. So get every passive in the Slayer specialization when they unlock at level 30 and level 40. One passive on the top left of the specialization is important to keep in mind, Charged Smash, which makes all your abilities, since they're Smash abilities, charged abilities as well. So if any skill gives you a bonus for being charged, your abilities will get it too. For example, in the bottom left we have Blindside, which makes it so charged attacks deal bonus physical damage. This means your abilities now get that effect. Charging attacks becomes very powerful, but are hard to pull off during an intense fight, so your abilities will be the star. Though with the right gear, we can drastically improve this. The star of the show is the Helm Mage Bane. It can be acquired easily by first exploring the crossroads for doors that require orbs to unlock. Just finding them will gain you a quest to track down and kill a champion. We want to fight the champion in the Hossberg wetlands. Take it down and a unique chest will appear behind it with the Mage Bane inside. It makes it so you generate rage 75% slower, but your abilities no longer cost rage. Instead, they have a 60-second cooldown regardless of their original rage cost, so Whirlwind gets a sweet deal here. Importantly, your damage is increased by 1% for every 2 rage. So naturally, we want ways to increase the rate it generates and increase our maximum, since it directly boosts our damage. You start at a potential 50% damage increase with a 100 rage maximum, And with this build, you can go up to 125% damage boost with a 250 rage maximum. But the potential is far higher. The main draw of this item is you don't need to waste a lot of time in a fight generating rage, which can be painfully slow since you start every fight with none and therefore cannot use your abilities for a while. Instead, with this item, you can leap in with Heroic Leap and start knocking enemies around right away. Every other item is optional. Try to pick up pieces that increase charge damage, as well as rage generation and rage maximum. I'm using Brute Hammer as charge attacks apply Sundered, and all my abilities will be charged attacks due to the Slayer passive. That means we can detonate it with Neve's Icebreaker ability, more on that soon. Finally, your amulet, All Mother's Corpse, is a good piece to upgrade as all your abilities will be buffed by it. In terms of runes, anything that increases physical damage, ability damage, weapon damage, and penetration. For enchantments, pick up area damage, smash damage, weapon damage, physical damage, and charged attack damage. But the build is not yet complete. You have to see your companions as an extension of you. Any mage companion fits for this build as they can apply Weakened and detonate Sundered, but I personally like having Neve as she can apply Weakness passively and letting us combo more easily with her. I also like having Lucanis as he can apply High Stagger and he can apply Sundered, letting Neve combo with him. So starting with Lucanis, feel free to give him the Hardened effect since we won't be using him to heal, and increasing his damage is a good thing. First, you want to pick up Adrenaline Rush as it grants you enhanced damage for a time, but with impeccable timing, Lucanis will use this automatically in battle on a separate cooldown, meaning during the fight, you'll get enhanced damage without casting it, boosting your output since this build relies mostly on you rather than the combos with your allies. We use his Debilitate ability as it applies Sundered for Neve to detonate and deals High Stagger, good to use very often. The third ability, Abominate, is simply good to remove barriers from enemies, which you don't do too well as a Slayer. The hero of the Veilguard choice you want to make is the one that gets you his passive, Demon of Defiance. It increases Lucanis' critical damage by 50% and increases all detonation damage by 50%. It also gives you his gear piece, Crow's Tenacity, which makes it so detonations to knock down enemies also deals High Stagger, and stagger from detonating increases by 50% for each enemy hit, getting to ridiculous numbers. Takedowns will be easy with Lucanis, the rest of his gear is optional. Neve is up next and her main ability will be Glacial Pace, as it applies the weakened effect for us to detonate. Also with the Cold Front passive, it'll fire off passively on its own independent cooldown, meaning you'll have multiple instances of weakness on the battlefield to detonate, which is great for someone with multi-hitting weakness detonators like we have. We also picked up Icebreaker as it detonates the Sundered effect that both Lucanis and we apply, though I'd understand if you pick up Time Slow in order to set up big charged attacks. In most cases, that is better, but since we have the Maul item that sets Sundered up, it just becomes easier to detonate. Finally, we have Replenish for a spot heal when needed. Now, the hero of the Veilguard choice you want to make is the one that gives you the passive, Winter's Wrath, which gives Neve 50% more critical damage, and also her damaging abilities get more damage and a shorter cooldown. The Veilguard choice also gives the chest piece, Threader's Plates, which makes it so enemies remain sundered after detonated, and sundered effectiveness is increased. You can see why I leaned into it. The rest of her items and enchantments are per what you need at the time. It still feels strange making this build as the others up to this point were very specific, but the truth is you don't need much to get this build up and running, and it doesn't have many direct synergies, which is not a bad thing per se. You really want to get things that help you overall. Now, how does this build work? Well, since your abilities are on a cooldown, you want to heroic leap in as soon as you can, then angle yourself to hit as many enemies as possible with a whirlwind or knock them off cliffs. Remember, you're immune while spinning to win. You'll also be granted the quickened effect, so cooldowns should be shorter. You then want to angle yourself to get the most out of your fun as hell dropkick ability. Then, while everything is cooling down, you simply want to smash face with charged attacks or simply dodge and parry. You aren't as squishy as other classes, so you don't need to worry too much about taking damage, though keep Neve's heal in mind. If you have companions off cooldown, feel free to set up combos with them. Neve can set up weakness for you to detonate, and one fun combo is dropkicking a detonating enemy onto their friends. This is an extremely fun build because the amount of disruption you'll be getting is off the charts. you'll be foaming at the mouth every time combat happens next to ledges and cliffs. But keep in mind that it's better to get hits off than no hits at all, charged or not. So don't keep attempting to charge attacks in the face of enemies. Instead, consider Neve's time slow if you're struggling, or her freeze effects. So that's everything. What do you think of the build? Let me know below. If you like this kind of content, let the algorithm know as well. For everything RPG and Dragon Age, you're in the right place. Ciao friends.